Hey, didn't see you there. Oh, don't mind me. I'm just looking for an easy way to get laid fast, but I'm not finding much around here. I could have sworn I had those on a second ago. Super Mario Galaxy. I'm not going to beat around the bush here. I love this game. Whenever someone walks up to me and asks me what my favorite video game of all time is, this is always my go-to answer. And Persona 5. I love everything about this game, from its gameplay to its presentation, and it's just on a whole other level compared to every Mario game that's come before and after it. Normally I try to dismiss my personal biases for these videos, but for this game I don't know how much I can help myself, so I'll apologize in advance if I just start gushing all over this game. Oh god, what a mess. Anyway, let's look at Mario's outing on the Nintendo Wii. This is Super Mario Galaxy. Super Mario Galaxy's early development was based on a Space World 2000 tech demo for the GameCube titled Super Mario 128. The tech demo itself was a simple way to show the lunchbox's processing power, and it did so by literally having 128 Marios running around at once. While this demo didn't directly lead to anything, the game that borrowed the most from it would probably be Pikmin, the spherical platforms in the demo were still a novel concept for Nintendo, and it was what would ultimately serve as the main inspiration for Galaxy's gameplay. As development progressed with the idea, the dev team realized that the spherical platform somewhat resembled planetoids in outer space, so the idea to set the game in an interstellar setting with more unique gravity mechanics was conceived. A spin attack move was conceptualized pretty early in development due to the devs believing that jumping as a form of attacking wasn't a great mechanic, which I can kind of understand, though I do find it odd that they only thought of this just now. Well, whatever, originally you would do the spin attack by swiveling the control stick on a GameCube controller, but as development shifted to the Wii, the mechanic was changed to utilize the Wii Remote's motion capabilities. Nintendo president at the time, Satoru Iwata, wanted the game to prioritize its fun factor first and foremost, and for the dev team to appeal to a larger demographic by not making the game too frustrating for new players. This decision brought about the idea of more simplistic level designs, along with the idea of reducing Mario's health to a mere 3 hit points, due to the dev team feeling like having too much health would make the game far too easy. The outer space setting allowed the team to go absolutely ham on level designs and concepts, as well as with the music, as this game used full-on orchestral pieces, which was pretty unique compared to what the Mario series was used to at this point. Because of just how much was being stuffed into this game, the release date was pushed back from the Wii's launch to its eventual release date of November 12, 2007 in North America. So what's my history with this game? Well, I'm glad you asked. You see, one night I was just chilling in my house doing whatever a 6-year-old me would do when a commercial for Mario Galaxy appeared on the TV. It was like nothing that I had ever seen before, and as the ad came to a close, I noticed a strange link to a website called YouTube. Being curious, I searched up the site on my family's old computer, and I was suddenly introduced to a completely different world on the internet. I could watch so much stuff based around the things I enjoyed, and the experience was so eye-opening. I didn't pick up Mario Galaxy at release. Instead, I rented the game from a local video store, and I got about halfway through it before I had to return it. It would be a couple of months later before I'd eventually pick the game up for myself, and even as a kid I knew this game was really special. Despite that though, my dumbass self still traded the original copy to GameStop one time because, well, Kirby's Epic Yarn wasn't gonna buy itself. Due to my sins, I've decided to punish myself by buying the Nintendo Selects version of Mario Galaxy, though Galaxy in any form is still godly, so it's only a small sin. Alright, booting up the game, we discovered that this is the first Mario game where we can have Barack Obama as a file select icon. Man, technology's amazing. After that, we're quickly introduced to the standard plot we're well acquainted with by this point, but with some extra flair and special details added. Princess Peach invites Mario to the castle to watch the Star Festival, an event that occurs every 100 years or so to watch special comets and shooting stars. Bowser inevitably shows up and kidnaps Peach, this time with the help of a giant UFO, and with the intention of creating a brand new galaxy. After being blasted away into the vast endlessness of space, Mario is awoken on a small planet by the star creature called Luma, which is just one of millions in its species. After catching some Lumas that transform into rabbits, Mario meets their mother Rosalina, who actually makes her first debut here. Rosalina explains to us that Bowser has stolen all of the power stars and grain stars that once powered her ship titled the Comet Observatory, and it's now up to Mario alongside a baby Luma entrusted to him by Rosalina to retrieve all of the stolen power stars in order to rescue Peach, who is located at the very center of the universe. The plot is still basically the same thing we're used to, but is presented in a much grander and more cinematic way. Bowser just decimates the Mushroom Kingdom and comes across as a real threat here, whereas in previous games he was almost treated as a joke, especially in Sunshine with you fighting him in a bathtub and all. I'll still never get over that. Overall, it's the same staple story we're used to, but the finer details at play here really make it stand out compared to Mario's usual shtick. So Super Mario Galaxy is structured pretty similarly to previous Mario games. You run around unique levels titled galaxies in this game, completing objectives like fighting a boss, solving a puzzle, or rolling on balls in order to nab a power star in the end. You get about 60 out of a total of 120 power stars, unlock new levels along the way, fight Bowser a couple times, and presto, you have yourself the 3D Mario standard that we're used to. The real big shakeup in Mario Galaxy's design, however, is in how you complete the levels. You see, Galaxy takes on a much more linear design in its level variety compared to 64 and Sunshine's offerings. In those games, you were mostly allowed to just do your own thing in large areas and explore and complete missions in any order you wanted. But here, Galaxy pretty much just points in the direction you need to go and rarely requires you to break off the beaten path. I see a lot of discourse on if Mario should be more sandbox oriented or be linear like Galaxy is, but here's my take on it. The way I see it, 64 and Sunshine are obviously meant to be sandboxes, while Galaxy is sort of like a roller coaster if I were to compare it to anything. Both can be fun in the right circumstances, but both also have some detractors. The sandbox requires you to make some of the fun yourself and figure out things to do on your own, while the roller coaster is engineered to be fun but is largely the same experience every time. Both are valid, but for me, Galaxy's more linear structure helps to make its ideas and concepts stand out even more, and it's still fun from beginning to end. That's not to say that Galaxy doesn't take some cues from Mario 64 though. Unlike in Sunshine where you were pretty much just locked into what kind of missions you need to do in order to beat the game, Galaxy returns to 64's mentality of allowing you to play any levels you want so long as you get 60 stars to beat the game. I'm so glad they returned to this sort of mindset. So many of my problems with Sunshine could have been avoided if I could have skipped over levels I didn't like, but here if a level is too tough or frustrating, I can just go to a different mission and be on my way. Anyway, we've been around the bush enough, so let's talk about that thing Isaac Newton discovered because it's easily Galaxy's most defining concept. The biggest thing this game has going for it is obviously the gravity mechanics. Levels will often allow you to walk all around sphere-shaped planets, stick to new surfaces, or just achieve mind-bending tasks that would have been impossible in any other Mario game. I love the gravity mechanics in this game, and while they can be a little jarring to get used to at first, they're handled beautifully and they just greatly expand how these levels are designed. Mario's control is a little basic here though. He's a little less mobile compared to how he was in Isle Delfino, but he still has pretty much every move you expect him to have. He finally got the long jump back, I'm glad we're past that little episode of his. And he can still side jump, triple jump, wall jump, backflip, side flip, and ground pound. No spin jump or dive though, which is a bit of a bummer. I really like those moves in Sunshine, but the game is designed well enough without those techniques, so I guess it's not the end of the world. Mario's moveset may be a little limited, but he has just about everything you'd expect him to have, alongside one major new addition. New to this game is the spin move, which is used for offensive attacks, gaining slight vertical height, gaining slight horizontal distance, the works. I adore the spin move in this game, and it greatly increases the amount of things Mario is capable of. In this game, I see heights or distances that should be impossible, but they still work with some careful platforming and a well-placed spin, and it's just, so good. The spin just works so well and is really responsive as a whole, largely in part to the actual controller you use. I know the Wii remote isn't everybody's cup of tea, but I find that it works wonders for this game specifically, and all of its capabilities get some time to shine here. Scattered throughout the levels are new sorts of collectibles called star bits, and picking them up is as easy as walking into one or pointing at the screen and hovering over it with the cursor. Picking up star bits alongside platforming works incredibly well, but there are also a few times where you can just collect bits as you transition between sections of levels after spinning in these things called launch stars. The bits can be used to gain extra lives, similarly to coins, can be shot at enemies to stun them for a brief moment, which I didn't do very often, or it can be used to feed hungry Lumas in levels or in the game's hub world in order to access more galaxies and stars. Dude, gluttony is one of the 7 deadly sins, man. You're gonna go to hell. Oh yeah, the game's hub world. In this game, you access galaxies by entering these buildings called domes on the Comet Observatory, and more of the spaceship will unlock to you as you gain stars and progress throughout the game. Selecting a level is as easy as picking a galaxy on this little map, choosing a level objective, and just gunning it. As for the hub world itself, it's pretty great. It's bright, colorful, isn't too large or difficult to navigate, and it feels calming due to the music that plays here. Oh, I guess I get to gush about the music now, so... This soundtrack is amazing. Its orchestral pieces are soothing, triumphant, grandiose, upbeat, and every track in this game is just perfect. I swear I could just listen to this OST for hours. God, it's just so good, and this game looks phenomenal for the system as well. This game looks better than some stuff produced today, and it's nearly 13 years old. I'm sorry I'm getting really hyper right now, but can you tell that I just love this game? Oh, okay, sorry about that. I just had to get that off my chest. This game introduces a lot of new power-ups to the mix, and a lot of them are kinda lame, not gonna lie. The main one here is the Bee Mushroom, which turns you into Bee Mario, trust me, I've tried. It allows you to walk on flowers and clouds, stick to honey-based surfaces, and lets you buzz in the air for a little bit. The Fire Flower and the Invincibility Star make their 3D debut, and they function pretty similarly to how they did in the 2D games, but with a time limit for both of them, which is a mega bummer, especially for the Fire Flower. This game also introduces the Ice Flower, which doesn't let you shoot ice balls for some reason, and only lets you walk on water and lava. The Boo Mushroom turns Mario into a Boo, allowing you to phase through some surfaces. The Spawn of Satan that is the Spring Mushroom traps Mario in a spring, which controls horribly but allows you to jump farther. And then there's the Monkey's Paw that is the Red Star. The Red Star allows Mario to fly through the sky and easily adjust its direction, which controls great, but it's sadly only used in one level and in the hub world. I feel like the Red Star was going to be more prominently used throughout the game, maybe as a way to freely travel between planets without the use of a launch star, but it was possibly scrapped later in development and just kept in here for some reason. Anyway, the power-ups here kinda blow, and they're pretty situational. They're really only thrown in here to add some spice to the level variety, and not much else. Speaking of the level variety, man, this game has some great stuff in it. Honeyhive Galaxy is amazing, Toy Time Galaxy is such a cool concept, Beach Ball Galaxy is so nice and tropical, and just about every galaxy in this game is amazing in its aesthetic and concept. There are a few downers though, and they mostly relate to the more gimmicky motion-controlled levels. You surf on a manta ray in these incredibly tight surfing levels, roll on top of a ball with some of the most awkward controls I've ever felt in a game, and blow Mario in a bubble around these incredibly deadly obstacle courses. These are probably the biggest sour spots of the game, but I find their difficulty to be just right, especially compared to the rest of the experience. Except for these trash destruction missions. These are garbage and are probably what single-handedly prevented me from 100%ing this game as a kid. Anyway, this game is super easy. I'm talking beat the game in a single afternoon easy. You can reach Bowser in about 6 hours if you know what you're doing, and you'll rack up lives quickly so long as you aren't exiting out of the game frequently. The easier difficulty isn't super detracting for me personally, as the game will challenge you on a fair amount of occasions, and its easier nature does make it appealing to replay over and over. Most galaxies have 6 missions to complete, with 3 of those being core objectives, 1 being a findable secret, and the other 2 relating to prankster comets. The prankster comets are harder, random events that can appear in most galaxies. There are several different comets that can occur. The Daredevil comets reduce Mario's health to 1 hit, making revisits to the levels much harder by proxy. The Speedster Comet puts you under a time limit to complete a level quickly, the Fast Foe Comet increases the speed of enemies within levels, the Cosmic Comet pits you in a race against Cosmic Mario, the sort of Shadow Mario looking guy, and finally there's the Purple Comet. The Purple Comets only appear after beating the final boss once, and they function like the 100 coin collecting missions of previous games. The difference here is that they're often placed in a straightforward path or in a smaller area compared to the entire level, so rejoice that these missions aren't so painful anymore. This Luigi one kinda kicked my ass though. If you collect all of the stars in the game, you'll gain access to the storybook. It's a short telling of Rosalina's backstory, and is it depressing. But hey, we finally have a Mario character with some depth, and because of that, Rosalina is easily one of my favorites in the series. That, and she's basically Space God, so I mean that's pretty cool too. Alright, well with every Power Star in tow, Mario and Rosalina start their assault on Bowser's army. After actually murdering a bunch of dudes on these airships, we're introduced to the final level of the game. I feel like this final level doesn't get praised enough. It's a great revisit to a ton of the concepts you experience throughout the game, and it's just an amazing lead up to Bowser. Speaking of Bowser, the final battle with him is incredible. It's pretty similar to the previous Bowser battles in the game, but the music here is so climactic and dramatic that it heightens the experience a ton. And with one final hit, Bowser goes down, but as he does, one of the planets he's standing on undergoes a supernova followed by the formation of a black hole that begins to suck all of existence into it. It's only with the sacrifice of a ton of Lumas, including the Luma Mario's been with the entire game, that the black hole is stopped, which in turn creates an explosion that rebirths the universe in the process. After that, I guess all of the galaxies throughout the game are closer to the Earth's atmosphere, and Mario welcomes the new galaxy as Rosalina looks on and heads out in the Comet Observatory, but not before we see that the baby Luma that was with Mario is actually alive. Man, I love this ending. It's pretty serious for the series, and it still somehow fits with the game's tone. It's dramatic, grandiose, and climactic, which is what the entire game is as a whole, and I love it for that. Sure, it may be a little too out there for the Mario series, especially considering that these are games where the main character's defining personality trait is jumping and saying wahoo, but I appreciate when this game tries to do something different with its story compared to what we're used to. But we're not done yet, because after the credits we get to see the only pop-up message I want after I die telling us that we can now play as Luigi. Yeah, Luigi's finally playable in a 3D Mario game. His jump height and long jump distance is incredible, but his traction is pretty buttery as a downside. Honestly, I kind of like playing as Luigi more than Mario in this game. His better jump and faster movements make it much easier to break platforming challenges, and he's kind of fun to try and speedrun with. Well, if my several minutes of gushing haven't sold you on Mario Galaxy yet, then the only thing I can recommend you do is to try it out yourself. I've made it abundantly clear how much I love this game. From its level design, creative mechanics, presentation, sound, charm, and personality, Super Mario Galaxy does so much right that it's an experience I feel as though any fan of video games should try out at least once. It may not be perfect in some places, but there was never a moment in this game from beginning to end when I wasn't having fun. It's the game that made me realize video games can be so much more than a simple pastime. It's the game that sparked so many emotions within me. It's the game that showed me how video games could be art, and I'm proud to call it my favorite video game of all time. And then they made a sequel. It was alright, I guess. Super Mario Galaxy is an incredible game, I think that's pretty clear to see. But that doesn't matter right now, because talking about the gateway for sex for some odd minutes has surely increased my sex appeal in some way. So let's head out into the world and see how I do. Everyone I talked to wasn't interested, if only I was a tall green Italian in a bee suit.